In this video, you're going to learn how to calculate the slope of a line from 2 points. The slope of a line represents how steep that line is, or how quickly it increases or decreases. To determine the slope of a line, we first take a look at how much of a vertical change we have from one point to another. Vertical change is the amount of change that we increase going straight up and down. That's compared to our horizontal change, or our change or how much we move from left or right. And we represent change with a triangle symbol. So our formula for slope, which is abbreviated with the variable m, is found by finding the change in y, or the vertical change, over the horizontal change, or the change in x. If you want to memorize an exact formula, that would be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Those y1s and x1s and y2s and x2s, those come from the coordinates. Of the first point, it's x1 and y1, and the second point is x2 and y2. It really doesn't matter which point you pick as your first point or which point is your second point. What matters is that you remember that the x-coordinate is your horizontal coordinate. It's the coordinate that represents how much you moved on the x-axis to the right or to the left. The y is your vertical coordinate. It represents how much you're moving up or down. The other thing that you really want to memorize is that slope formula. It doesn't matter whether you remember the exact formula or not. For me personally, I just remember that I want to subtract the y values, or the y coordinates, and I want to divide that by subtracting, or the difference, of my x values. So again, the slope is the ratio of the change in y over x. My horizontal coordinates in my first example here then are 4 and -2. My vertical coordinates are -1 and -3, and I've highlighted them accordingly. You may want to do the same thing. So m, or my slope, is equal to the difference of my y coordinates, and I've labeled them here. So that's going to be -3 minus -1. And it's important that you really keep that clear, because that minus and negative is going to change the actual value. So I want to make sure that I'm writing it out completely. Okay, divided by my x-coordinates. So my second point is -2, that x-coordinate, and the x-coordinate of my first point is 4, so -2 minus 4. I'm simplifying that, and I end up getting -2 divided by -6. And whenever I'm finding slope, I always have to reduce. So that reduces to 1/3. So my m, or the slope of the line between these 2 points, is 1/3. For my second example, again I want to take a look and I want to identify my y coordinates. My second y coordinate is 5, and so is my first y coordinate, divided by my x values. My second x value is 6, my first one is 2, so divided by 6 minus 2. I simplify this, and anytime I have 0 in the numerator divided by a number, it's always going to be 0. So 0 divided by 4 is 0. And whenever I have a slope of 0, I know that when I go to graph that line, that it's going to be a perfectly horizontal line. All horizontal lines have a slope of 0. So again, things to remember. I again took my y values minus my x values. Okay. My slope formula is the difference between my y and my x values. If I have a horizontal line, my slope, my m value, is going to be 0. If I have a vertical line, which is a line that rises up and down only, that slope is going to be undefined, because in that case my 0 will be in the denominator and I can't divide by 0. So it's a very unique case. Parallel lines, you'll want to know this for the future. Parallel lines are lines that have the same exact slope. They run like railroad tracks. And perpendicular lines are lines that form a 90-degree angle. And so their slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals of each other. Everything in this things to remember column you'll want to memorize moving forward.